everybody, it's Sally from Sally Stampers. Thank you for joining me today. Today I am bringing you a super cute pocket tissue box. So as you are probably aware, and probably a lot of people have, these lovely packets of handy tissues, and I've always got one in my handbag, one in the car, in coat pockets, and you know, they're just everywhere. But I mean, yes, they're lovely, but sometimes if you're going somewhere, maybe to a wedding, or maybe even a funeral, and you want to take some tissues, the last thing you want sat at a funeral is that, isn't it? Trying to get the tissues out, making a noise. How about something like this? Simply spin that round, pull your tissue out. It's not going to make anywhere near as much noise. You could make this in any colour that obviously Stampin' Up do, or if you don't use Stampin' Up, maybe something else. Crazy idea, I know. You wouldn't want to use anything other than Stampin' Up because it's so good, but I just think this is really pretty, and I've used the Share What You Love DSP, but again, you could use anything. You could even use it to coordinate with a handbag or an outfit. The possibilities are endless. They are really easy to refill. It's just simply open it up and pop the tissues inside. Just take them out of this noisy wrapper and pop them in here, and it's really simple and pretty to use. As you know, I use a lot of the small metallic brads in my card kit for September. Oh, the months are passing too quickly and I forget where I am. So I've gone with the silver one because obviously we don't do anything sort of pearl coloured, but I thought silver went quite well with this one. So that's the one I've made, and I'm going to show you how I made it, and it is really, really simple. So you need a sheet of cardstock that is 7.5 inches by 7.25 inches. So on the short side, so the 7.25, and sorry, in centimetres, that will be 16.5 by 17 centimetres. So on the short side, we're going to score at 1 inch, 2 inch, and 6.25. We're then going to rotate. So we now have the long side across the top, and we're going to score at 2.25, 3.25, 5.5, and 6.5, and I don't remember if I did the centimetres, I do apologise. So on the short side you score at 1, 2 and 6.25 inches, which is 2, 4 and 14.5 centimetres. Then we rotate, and on the long side we score at 2.25, 3.25, 5.5 and 6.5, and in centimetres that is 5.5, 7.5, 13 and 15. Okay, and then as always we're going to fold and burnish those score lines, and I'm using the beautiful rich razzleberry on this one. So many pretty colours. I seriously don't do some of them enough justice because I seem to have favourites that I just go to. I'm sure you're all the same. I need to try and maybe not use the same ones and push myself to use others. Okay, so once you've folded and scored and burnished all of those lines, you'll see that you have, for ease of reference, wide, narrow, wide, and then 2 narrow. So with the 2 narrow to your right, we're going to cut away this bottom square, and then we're going to cut a little wedge in there too. And then the bottom narrow part here, we're simply going to cut up all of those as they will be our bottom of the box. So spinning it round now so that those bottom bits are at the top, and you've got the 2 narrow facing you. First off, we're going to cut away the 2 squares above our tab. So you've cut away the first strip here of the narrow. You're then going to cut down both squares of all of the pieces. This just makes it easy to explain what to cut and what not to. So we've got the same again as the bottom, but just these ones are double. These two small ones, as I'm sure you've heard me say before, are going to be your shoulders. So I'm just going to tuck that under. Those are your shoulders. So you're going to cut them in half, and then we're just going to slightly cut some wedges in them. And the same on this one. That wasn't quite so tidy as I wanted it. Let's do it again. There we go. And then you're left with these two pieces here. Now, obviously this becomes, as would normally be, the back. So that's what I would say you'd want to use as your front fold over part, which is this outside one. So then you can cut away the whole of this one. So I'm just going to tuck that under out of the way, and we're just going to cut that completely. And so we're left with this lovely little shape here. So next up, I want to use my detailed trio punch, and I just want to round these corners here for the lid. Just again, just really to prettify it, I suppose. So that's those bits done. And I just think it makes that look a little tidier. And then we need to add our DSP. So I have two of each sizes here. So front and back, which would be the larger pieces, these are 3 3/4 by 2 inch, which is 10 centimeters by 5. Then we have the two long strips, which are 3 3/4 by 3/4, and that's 10 by 1.5 centimeters. And then these little small pieces are 2 by 3/4, and that's 5 centimeters by 1.5. So we're going to stick these on. So that is going to be technically the back. Then the lid, top of the lid there, and then my side. You'll notice that I'm leaving these bits, and I'm going to show you this for a reason. So these are my long panels here. Which, as I say, go on the sides. Oops. Oh dear, let's try that again. It's a little bit low, but never mind. This one is where the front of your box is going to be, with that oval cut out. So you want to make sure that you put in a real good layer of adhesive on, so that where that oval is die cut out, it will be stuck all the way around. So that's that bit stuck on there. And this bit needs to go on there, because that's, once you fold it all up, obviously you're going to put your sides, the back, and then the front down last. So that's the piece that my final bit of DSP needs to go on. Okay, so before I do any more adhering now, I want to die cut my circle here. So I'm just going to grab my big shot, which I haven't changed from my last project, so we'll just get rid of that. And then bring my big shot in. And thankfully this is just the right size, and I actually have, where is it? I have a clearer, newer plate here, because this one is well, it's not extremely loved, it's a little bit loved and it's very warped, but I don't want it to imprint on this, so I'm using a fresh one. So I'm literally just going to tuck all of these bits under, because I'm cutting here and there's nothing folded under there, and it will sit perfectly on there. I then, using my layering ovals, and I have two different sizes that actually, there should be a size in the middle of here, so I'm actually using a bigger one. Sorry, so the smallest one will go on here, and then I use the larger one to cover to use as the slider, if you like. So I'm just going to pop that on there with my relatively new plate on the top. Oh heavens, come on. And then just run this through. Everything's falling over on my desk. So take that out, remove that, and then obviously this will just pop out. And so that then has got my die cut in. I'm going to pop this to one side just for a moment because, like always, I have a fog brain recently. So I want some of my, I say scrap, and yet these are actually a decent size. We'll go with that piece. So I want some of my scrap rich raspberry, and then I want some coordinating DSP. Yes, that will fit nicely. So, snail. So again, I'm literally going to smother this DSP in adhesive and pop it on here. And then I'm going to run this through the Big Shot so that it's there for my cover. And again, I'm using my clear one because I don't want impressions on the top of this either. I do only save this for things like this, and then when it starts to get a little bit worn, I then go back to, I then replace it and use that as my usual one, my everyday one. Right, so you could always use this if you were gifting this to someone as a tag, maybe something like that. I don't have any use for it at the moment, but I'm sure some of you really clever crafters out there will have some idea. So, beautiful metallic brads. As I said, I have tons left. I think I'm going to go with a silver one this time again. Oops. Oh, my dog is grumbling. Why are you staying on there? Come on, off. Right, get rid of that dry bit. And I'm just going to grab that one, I think. Okay, so now I need to pierce a hole for my brad. So you've probably seen before, I have this, it's the inserts from the clear blocks, and I simply want to pop my opening over the top of my die cut. Just make sure that you're giving yourself enough clearance. My dog is complaining again. And then using the sponge here, I'm just going to take my paper piercer through there and just poke my holes through. And then it's simply a case of pushing your brad through the top, through there, and then opening it out in the back. And then giving it a nice press just to make sure it's nice and flat. And there's your opening. So now we can adhere our box together. So yes, you can use wet glue. I'm using tear and tape. No surprise there then. So run that along. Oh, my scissors seriously need cleaning. And the good thing about these is that you can make them from an A4 sheet of cardstock. So actually, you know, they are fairly easy to replace. They don't take too long to make. If you're not faffing and waffling like me, you can have them done in maybe 10-15 minutes. And I just think it's lovely. So, tear and tape off. You could always stamp on here as well. Stamp something for someone, whoever you're making it for. That's not going to work, is it? Because of the brad. Let's hold that down and do it that way. There we go. So that's that bit. And then, as I said, to do the bottom, we're just going to fold in those 2 bits there and then just pop the front down. Come on. Okay, piercing tool time. So that's that one. And that's... Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can hear the wind. It's really quite blustery today. So there's the bottom bit down, and then you simply need to empty your packet of tissues and just pop them just inside. Just obviously be mindful when you push that in that you're not pushing the tissue down inside, or like me, pushing it against the brad, which is actually what I'm probably doing here. Fighting against the tissues. Oh, come on, you silly thing. Right. As I was saying, when you pop this down, hold up. Moment of clarity. Just pop your finger on the inside so that you don't catch the brad or the tissues, or get your finger stuck. And there you have it. That's a little bit low, isn't it? Never mind. But yeah, so there you have your super cute pocket tissue boxes using the brads and our beautiful Share What You Love DSP. Just beautiful. 2 cute tissue boxes. Hope they've given you some inspiration. I hope you could make them for somebody too. Thank you for coming, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.